Hello and welcome to my reaction of Before the Flood. It's the concluding part of the latest two-parter. First of all, let me just say that this season so far has gone beyond my expectations. It's been outstanding. Stephen Moffat has gone beyond anything I thought he'd do so far. Past two seasons, let's be honest, I don't think it makes us disloyal fans to say, have been somewhat mediocre. Yes, mediocre seasons of Doctor Who are still better than anything else on television. No question about that. And it's not that I haven't enjoyed season 7 and season 8. They just, for me, weren't at the level. They just seemed a bit, they were pedestrian. But this season so far has been amazing. Again, I loved last week's episode. I thought it was brilliant. This week was even better. Let's talk about Beethoven. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole thing. We know the Doctor really isn't Beethoven, and he really was trying to explain what was going to happen later on within that episode. But what I adored about that opening sequence was Capaldi's Doctor talking into the camera, talking to us, the Doctor Who fans. What I liked about it, this is the Doctor talking to us about a historical figure in a way. And that's great for the younger viewers. That's a fun way for them to learn about Beethoven. And I hope they do this with Capaldi a few more times. Now, I think that Peter Capaldi, it's my theory that he's involved creatively, not just as playing the Doctor. Because it's changed so much this year. It's just, honestly, I'm going to repeat myself, it's on another level. So totally enjoyed the Beethoven stuff, thought that was brilliant. Then as we get into the episode, we see Clara's pretty broken. She thinks the Doctor's going to die. We don't really, at that point, we don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to go into revealing everything what happened last night, just in case you haven't watched it, and maybe you want a spoiler-free, kind of, just my thoughts of it initially. My initial thoughts on it were brilliant. I think the resolutions made sense, had a lot of logic to them. They were brilliant, they were in motion. But what was a big improvement from last week, and I enjoyed last week, was the guest stars, the supporting cast had a lot more to do this week. Both women, both males, and I thought they were all great characters in the end. And I really enjoyed them. And actually, it's brilliant in a way, because ever since I heard that Clara's leaving, I'm kind of work out every episode if we've just met the future companion. So I forgot her name, but the one who was kind of knows a lot about the Doctor from UNIT and mentioned Rose and Martha and Amy. I thought, well, maybe she could be a future companion, but now she's dead. Obviously, this is Doctor Who, but I thought at first that maybe she could be. I have a little theory about someone who will be reuniting with later on this season, and I forgot her name already. I'm rubbish with names, but Osgood, that's her. Got a little theory that Osgood could actually be the next companion. We know she died. We know we're going to see her again. We don't know if that's really Osgood, but got a little feeling for Osgood being the brand new companion. So anyway, that's for the future. We'll do a companion video and predictions and things like that. And going back to the episode, I loved seeing two TARDISes from two different points in time, and I thought that was just a brilliant sight to see two TARDISes. Anyway, I mean, the TARDIS is a great sight at any time, not just the inside, which is glorious, but the outside. And I thought that was great. I thought the Fisher King, what a great. I don't know, was he a villain? I suppose you've got to call him a villain, a monster, an alien, whatever you want to call him. There was a method to his madness, and I liked that. I liked that he was doing this for a reason, so his people could come and do what they wanted to do. And I thought that's great, rather than kind of the moustache twirling, I want to take over the earth, you're not going to stop us, Doctor, which he kind of still said, but it was great that there was actually logic to that. It wasn't actually a very focused Clara episode, but as I said on my thoughts on the page today, it really didn't need to be. You don't always have to focus on the companion just because they're there and they're paid to be full-time. One of my things is, when I write my Doctor Who fiction, sometimes I don't use the companion, even though they're full-time. Sometimes I like the Doctor just to kind of land where he's going to land and kind of use the people as a kind of companion for that story and run around with them. And then he kind of meets up with a companion who's not involved in that story. If you notice, sometimes the companion's kind of left somewhere with other people and they're not used very much, and you kind of can tell that the writer of the episode doesn't really want to use them within that story, and it's pretty transparent and obvious. And sometimes, if you're not going to use the companion, don't use them. And then you give other characters and actors a chance. And it mixes the companion thing up. And this is why I always think that everyone says the companion is so important. But I don't think you always need a companion in a Doctor Who story. Not a full-time one anyway. Sometimes, I mean, The Waters of Mars was brilliant, but he didn't turn up with a full-time companion. I actually loved Tennant's Doctor when he didn't do that. So, a lot of people have said that this two-part is very similar to Father's Day. I wouldn't go that far. I can see the similarities to the other two-parter in season 2 with the devil and all that. But again, I thought this was its own entity. I thought Whithouse did a brilliant job yet again, but this was his best story. The concept of someone dying and coming back as a ghost and you can't see their eyeballs. They're just like empty. There's just this black hole in their eyeballs. No wonder they put the episode on a bit later. A great concept for a ghost or for a monster of the week or a monster of the fortnight if you want. But I just want to really go back to this season. First of all, it hasn't got a blatant arc, which I think a lot of people are happy about. I come from watching the X-Files. I love the arcs in X-Files, and I think a great story arc can really strengthen a season. I like the arc in season 5. I loved the arc in season 6. I loved Russell T Davies' one-word arcs, Bad Wolf, Torchwood, Harold Saxon, who was also mentioned in this episode. How awesome is that? And who is the Minister of War or for War? We'll find out very soon, I'm quite sure. If not this season, next season. One thing's for sure, a lot of rumours, people saying, we don't know if Capaldi's back next year. Capaldi will be back next year. And yes, Doctor Who will be back in 2016. There is the only reason people come up with these stupid little rumours is because it happened with Tennant before he left. They are not going to take a break. Stephen Moffat has said so many times, we cannot rest such a popular show. 10 out of 10 I'm going to give this episode. Because I've only got 10 minutes, I can't really go fully into it. But I just want to say that I enjoyed the episode. I loved what it did. I loved the supporting cast, as I said. But the star of this show, who should always be, is the Doctor. And Peter Capaldi's Doctor, for the first time, he really felt like the Doctor to me. It takes me so long to kind of say, right, you're my Doctor now. To me, in my head, Matt Smith's still the Doctor. And this guy's kind of easing his way in. But Capaldi is a fabulous actor. And like the others, I've enjoyed his performances. But it's hard for me. It's such a hard concept, changing the actor to play the Doctor. And I think for all of us, even us lot that have been watching Doctor Who for so many years, it's still hard to get used to a new guy. And last night I really felt that Capaldi was starting to become the new Doctor. And of course next week we've got the Maisie Williamson story. Now I'm not sure if that's a two-part. I think it is definitely a two-parter. It's very exciting. I don't think she's going to be anything relevant whatsoever. So let's do a half-term report. The first 4 episodes of season 9 of Doctor Who have been outstanding. Capaldi's been brilliant. Clara's been a much better character, a more likeable character. Last year she had to be that way because they wanted to keep the younger viewers. Because Capaldi was slightly older, he was the oldest guy to play the Doctor since the modern era started. So they kind of wanted this young girl to be kind of relevant in it. And I can understand it. And as I say, season 7 and season 8 were by no means rubbish. But they weren't wow. Sometimes some episodes were really a wow, but not as much as we wanted them to be. But this season, each episode for me has been a wow. I mean, The Magician's Apprentice, The Witch's Familiar, I think that's the second episode, correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, they've all been brilliant. And the Davros twists, I think there's definitely an arc this season. I just think they're keeping it under. And there's been not many hints to what's going to happen to Clara. And that fascinates me because we've already been told It's going to be devastating. I'll talk to you again after next week's episode. I can't wait.